It's old school, but I like them because they heat quickly and they don't go above 100 degrees Celsius, so you don't burn your reactions to a crisp. And if you have proper steam in your lab, it's just a tap you open and close, so it's instant heating, unlike a heating mantle or something else. And because steam transfers heat instantaneously, almost the same way a flame does, you can regulate the amount of heating very easily by just changing the adjusting the tap. So it's very responsive, unlike heating mantles, hot plates, oil baths, that kind of thing. And also because it's steam, it doesn't leave a mess like oil. Meanwhile, water baths obviously have the problem that they can run dry. And this thing, though, you can just hook it up to a faucet and run it off a hot plate if you don't have steam, because it's Southern California, why would I have steam here? And that way it won't run dry, and that means I can leave this unattended because it can't set anything on fire unless it's carbon disulfide or whatever. But anyways, again, with proper steam line, you don't have to play with hot metal, but I just want to show you why I like these. So here's some isopropyl. It's a little warm already because I was testing how fast it would warm up earlier. But you can see, you can just stick my flasks on without a problem. And if you need to mix the reaction while heating it evenly, you tilt it, and it can't really fall over. So you can just do that, and because it's being engulfed in steam, while you rotate it, it gets hot very quick. And of course, you can leave it like that again. The most common thing I see people using steam baths for are recrystallizations, because, again, quick heating, it's low temperature, you don't risk setting things on fire, and obviously they don't really use those anymore because most labs don't use steam anymore because no one really uses steam heating. But these will remain in my heart because I like them. And you can see, judging by the bubbles and the fact that this vapor is already here, it's practically near boiling point. But you can also just use round things in here, and you don't even need to hold them, really, if you're careful. So, I think that's this one. You can just do that, like... You don't need to put it on a stand because it holds it, which is very nice. And, of course, this will work for bigger flasks. And another thing nice is that you can adjust where it heats. Similarly with a Bunsen burner, with a heating mantle you really can't. With the glass cool ones, it's the lower third, which is decent, because the Chinese ones, which are completely hemispherically heating, those can, burn and char up stuff on the walls of the glassware as it distills dry, which is why it's not too advisable to use those for distillations unless you have very good stirring to make sure liquid coats all of the walls. And with this thing, you can even go up to a very large, at least, 1 liter is decently large, right? That's fine. You can even do that. It's very nice. And again, you can see the steam condensing in there. That's the heat transfer. It's very quick. I like it. And again, you can adjust where it heats by just changing the size of the ring. Now, am I telling you to go and get one? No. I'm just, my autisticness wants to show this thing because I like them. And again, you can heat it like that. In fact, you can put this under a rotovap and heat a rotovap with it if you're crazy. Like me. I might do that. I sometimes do that. But also, you don't need to use these strictly for steam, like I mentioned. You can just use them as a water bath. And that's done by simply putting whatever you're heating inside of there. And because this water drain is only a very small bit, there's no issue with just leaving that floating in there. And you just cover it with rings until it's, mostly blocked, so you don't have a bunch of hot water evaporating everywhere into your room. And that way you also don't need as much heating. And of course you can clamp it if you really want to. And that isopropanol is boiling. Yeah, I'm probably gonna just use this for mostly crystallization or something. But first I need to build a boiler, which is, you know, on standby warming for most of the use until you flip a switch and it, you know, starts boiling the water. But I've been meaning to get a source of constant hot water in this lab anyways. And, yeah, excuse for me to build that. There we go, now it's boiling. It'd be a good idea to put a boiling chip in that, wouldn't it? You can tell it's boiling because when I shake it, there's evolution. And again, you can just do that if you're heating a reaction, especially if it's a viscous reaction. Something I notice is that people don't really know how to shake flasks anymore. Because it seems, you know, most people just do that. And there's no issue with that, other than the fact that it's laminar mixing, which the problem is that you have, one, all the solution flung to the sides because of centrifugal force, and two, if you have solid in there, it's going in the same direction. It's going with the flow, so you're not really going to get very good mixing. If you want to have very thorough mixing, you want to shake it like that. That way it throws stuff around. And it mixes better. I know the difference because I tested it myself. I ran a nitration in an ice bath with just purely me shaking the thing in an ice bath. And there's very much a difference between doing it like that and doing it like that. Because when it sloshes, it mixes much better. And that means, of course, the reaction heats up much faster. But it also means that if you have it in the bath while you're doing that, it cools a lot faster, too. Problem I see with people doing ice baths is you don't stir the ice bath. You have to stir the ice bath because the ice water is not going to keep the entire thing cool unless you stir it. Because that's how, you know, thermal gradients work. But I keep saying stuff like that and no one ever listens. But there you go. I mean, it's autistic rant about cool lab equipment. But yeah, I mean, if you have a steam line in your lab, use the damn thing, because it's very nice. Like, once you try it once, you really don't want to use other stuff usually. At least that's the way for me. Yeah, I turned that hot plate down a lot. Well, that's it. I don't know. Here's your, I guess, somewhat often chemistry kind of content. I don't know. I've just been really busy doing things. Also, the heating mantles I bought, they're going to be here within a few more weeks, as far as I know. Because they did not come with a very detailed tracking, because China, but, yeah, I mean, if you want heating mantles, I'm going to be selling them soon, like I said. And, yeah, I'm not going to be selling these, though, but it's whatever.